Shocking! New discovery by research team shows unidentified energy causing drone interferences. Researchers are left in awe as they encountered strange force on the Skinwalker ranch. After conducting experiments throughout the week over the triangle and over the east field where they saw anomalies 300 feet in the air and where one of the team members' helicopters was moved around by some kind of force that couldn't be seen, they came to the conclusion that the triangle and the east field are affected by the same phenomenon. They decided to get the team from Sky Elements out to the ranch to see if they could assist them in verifying and identifying exactly what was going on in those two regions. They were expecting that Sky Elements, with its cutting-edge drone technology, could conduct a safer and much more extensive scan over the triangle and the east field, which would provide them with better data and, possibly, some answers. Launching Sky Elements drones, which are generally used for enormous light shows, above the triangle and the east field in order to observe their lit forms against the backdrop of the night sky, was the plan for the experiment. And strangely, unidentified energy causing drone interferences. This will make it simple to spot any irregularities in the patterns that have been pre-programmed for them, and it will hopefully allow us to pinpoint the precise location of the anomalies that we came across a week ago at an altitude of approximately 300 feet. They used drones that did not follow the proper procedure. Almost immediately after they had reached the point 300 feet above the triangle, it became obvious that several of them had been pulled out of formation by something. They began to suffer drone losses all of a sudden. Despite this, they had 80 of their connections broken. Because of an unforeseen circumstance, the drones were forced to make an emergency landing on the Earth. So everyone arrived on the ground a lot earlier than they had been anticipating. They were at a loss for words to describe what had happened. They made the decision to fly the grid once more to determine whether or not they observed the same behavior. The capacity to repeat anything is really beneficial. Repeatability, considering what they had seen and how unique it is. They were very interested in seeing whether it would happen again and would be excited if it did. After some time, the rocket was eventually loaded with fuel and made ready for takeoff. Something interfered with the controls of the swarm of drones as soon as they flew over the triangle, and this caused their formation to change in an inexplicable way. This was something that Tyler and the crew from Sky Elements had never encountered before. It was obvious that something over the triangle caused it, because as soon as the drones departed that region to land, they instantly came back online and reassembled themselves in the pre-programmed formation they had been instructed to fly in. Each and every time that they did something, they appeared to detect some influence on the experimental system that we were using. They were eager to fly patterns that were similar to, if not exactly the same as, those flown in another interesting spot on the ranch off to the east, where their surveys had shown some really interesting results. After what they observed happened to the drone swarm at the triangle, they couldn't wait to relocate the experiment over to the east field, which is approximately a half-mile away, and run it again. Before Preston could even launch the swarm of drones, one of them mysteriously took off on its own and flew to the location that had been programmed for it. They had never experienced anything like that before. After yet another launch, the observes that the formation is shaping out to be rather neat and tight, a significant improvement over what they had seen at the other place in the vicinity of the triangle. Something was seen flying around above the location of the launch. They watched as one of the most brilliant UAPs they had ever seen on the ranch came into view, traveled across the sky in a leisurely manner for a few seconds, and then suddenly disappeared. On this very last flight, they did something that was both incredibly interesting and unusual. They started one drone before any of the others, and they had no prior experience with it. To be honest, that one drone that took flight was actually located in the middle of the group of drones that refused to communicate with one another. They said that this experiment was one of the best things that we had done in terms of precision because there were so many data points. They couldn't wait to see what comes out of the data once it was processed, since between Eric's surveillance cameras and Pete's scanning devices, they had a lot of information to process. They will hopefully have additional visual evidence of whatever it was that they saw in the sky, and they will be able to determine what exactly it was that they saw. They arranged for a video chat with Pete Kelsey to begin shortly. Because of the drone tests that were conducted in the east field in the triangle, he is in possession of a substantial quantity of information that he can impart to us. After reviewing the footages, they were curious as to what was visible at the extreme outskirts of the range that could be measured by that particular device. It was in the very same place where we had seen the UAP make its entrance. In addition to this, they believed it was necessary to review the video of the ball in the sky to determine whether or not it appeared in the same general region as the anomaly that was discovered in the leader data. In addition to looking into the drone interference, the team investigates the past of Skinwalker Ranch and the numerous unexplained incidents that have been reported there over the course of its existence. In order to acquire a better understanding of the phenomenon, they conduct interviews with local inhabitants as well as professionals in the field of paranormal research. In addition, the group makes use of cutting-edge technologies such as ground-penetrating radar, drones, and electromagnetic field detectors in order to collect data and make an effort to comprehend what is taking place on the ranch. During the course of the episode, the crew is witness to a number of baffling occurrences, such as unexpected sounds and noises, malfunctioning equipment, and sightings of enigmatic creatures. They are unable to identify the precise reason for these occurrences, but they will keep looking into the matter in the expectation of learning the truth about Skinwalker Ranch. The show as a whole is a fascinating investigation into the mysterious occurrences that take place at Skinwalker Ranch. Even though the team is unable to provide a complete explanation for the happenings, they are still able to collect useful data and continue their investigation in the hopes that one day they may be able to unravel the mysteries that this weird and mysterious place holds. The use of cutting-edge technology in the course of the investigation into the phenomenon is yet another fascinating facet of this episode. The team employs a number of different instruments, such as ground-penetrating radar, electromagnetic field detectors, and drones, in order to collect data and attempt to gain a better understanding of what is taking place on the ranch. In addition to that, they utilize thermal imaging cameras in order to record footage of unusual heat signatures in the vicinity. For more up-to-date content on the discoveries on the Skinwalker Ranch, be sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications. The inquiry into the animal mutilations that have been reported on the ranch is one of the parts of the episode that is one of the most intriguing parts. The group performs an autopsy on the carcass of a cow that was discovered dead under unexplained circumstances and notices some peculiar burn marks on the animal's flesh. They also examine tales of weird creatures that have been seen on the ranch, and they utilize night vision cameras to record film of what looks to be a big animal that no one has been able to identify. Throughout the course of the episode, the crew attempts to examine the phenomenon, but they run into a number of obstacles along the way. In spite of the fact that they are frequently thwarted in their search for answers by broken equipment and other impediments, they continue their efforts. In the end, the team is unable to provide a comprehensive explanation for the occurrences that take place on Skinwalker Ranch, yet they are able to collect useful information and continue their investigation in the hopes of one day comprehending the mysteries that surround this peculiar and intriguing location. The episode takes an intriguing look at how science and the supernatural interact with one another, and it is certain that viewers will come away from it with more questions than answers. Finally, the research team discovers new treasures. Click on the next video to be the first to know.